Hi everyone, welcome back to today's video. For today, I'm going to be showcasing the Glamper greeting stamp set, which I have right here. And I'm going to be showing you guys these 4 cute little cards that I've created for today. The Glamper greetings is part of the new holiday catalog. Right here. Whoa, now I'm knocking stuff over. It's right here. I can't remember exactly what page it's on, but it's right here. It's on page 42, and you're not going to be able to see all of this. There are some adorable samples down here at the bottom, and the main reason that I wanted to showcase this stamp set for you guys is because it's so versatile. When I look at a lot of the stuff that I got from the holiday catalog, I love it all. Like, I just posted that reindeer card, and I absolutely love that card, and I love that stamp set. I love the cookie cutter Christmas set. I love the cookie cutter Halloween set. I love them both. I think they're both amazing. The problem is that once the holidays are over, I'm not really going to be able to utilize that much. This set is very versatile, and you can continue it on past the holiday season. So, I know that it can kind of get lost and it may not be everyone's cup of tea, but I wanted to go ahead and showcase it for today just to show you guys what I've been able to come up with using it, and maybe you guys can think about what you could use it for as well. So this is the stamps that we're going to be using for today. I made these 4 cards. So we have a birthday one, a holiday one, a Halloween one, and then this is kind of like a, not necessarily Thanksgiving card, but kind of just like a overall greeting note card. So 4 very different cards. They are all the exact same size. I used nothing but a card base and then the little watercolor piece on all of them. They're all, I mean, I did them all exactly the same aside from the coloring and the items that I put on them. So you can really do so many different things with this one stamp set without trying so hard. And that's really what I wanted to convey for today. For today's video, because I didn't want to make it 5 hours long because all of these are watercolored, I'm going to only show you guys this card right here, step by step how I actually did it in a video. And then over on my blog, I've done a blog post for all 3, or actually all 4 of these cards separately. And for the 3 that I'm not doing a video on, there will be step-by-step instructions, pictures on exactly what I did to achieve this look. And I picked this one because getting this sunset, sunrise fade here is a little bit more difficult, and it's a little bit more difficult to explain in photos. It would be easier to just show you guys in a video. So hopefully that all makes sense. To make, I'm going to set these 3 aside. To make this card, we are going to be using a piece of watercolor paper. And this is cut at, let me see, let me get my dimensions. It's cut at 3.5 by 3.5, so it just gives us this nice square little note card. And then we have a piece of old olive, which is cut at 7.5 by 3 3/4. So that's the only paper we're going to be using for today, but we are going to be using quite a few different colors. I am going to be using our aqua painters. I interchanged making all 4 of these cards. I used ink pads and our Stampin' Right markers in conjunction, with our aqua painters. I can't remember. Some of them I used both the big one and the small one. Some of them I just used one or the other. I can't exactly remember off the top of my head, but when we get into it, you guys will be able to see which ones I'm actually using. We're going to be using 5 of our Stampin' Right markers. We're going to be using Real Red, Daffodil Delight, and Pumpkin Pie and Old Olive, which those 4 are all part of the Brights collection. So you'll be able to, if you purchase the Brights Stampin' Right markers, because we only sell them in the color collections now, you'll get all of those colors that you'll need. And then the only other one is the Basic Gray marker, which you don't have to use Basic Gray. We're going to be using it to color some of the the accents on the camper. So you definitely don't have to do that. You can leave it, or you can use a different marker that you have, a black or a gray. I just happened to like this, and it was a nice different little color. Then we're going to also be using 4 ink pads. And again, if you have the Stampin' Right markers, aside from basic black, you can really use your markers instead, or if you have all of the ink pads already and you don't have the markers, you can change them out. I just kind of grabbed what I thought would be easiest, and you'll see why when we start getting into actually making the card. But the ink pads that I'm going to be using is Dapper Denim and Crumb Cake. as well as Smoky Slate and Basic Black. Now, the thing with this is that these 3 ink pads I'm going to be doing watercoloring with. So like I was just saying, if you have these 3 markers, use the markers and use those to watercolor. I just happen to have these sitting on my desk, so I grabbed the ink pads instead of the markers. And with Dapper Denim, I would say you'll probably get a closer effect to this color using the ink pad because it's a little bit more of a concentrated color. But we'll get into that and you'll see what I mean with that. Basic Black, you do need the Basic Black stamp pad because this is what we're going to be using to do all of our stamping. So let's go ahead and jump into the project. Okay, so to start off, I'm going to be taking my Basic Black and I'm going to stamp all of my images. Now, with all of the cards that I made, I found that that's really the easiest way to do it. Take your Basic Black and stamp out all of the images that you're going to be using and get your foundation and then just start going to town and coloring it in. So for this one, I don't want to stamp in that crease. And I'm going to stamp this a little further to the top, but almost right in the center, but a little more to the top, if that makes sense. And we're stamping our camper. And it's super cute. And you might see that there's little openings in some of the lines here. That's how the stamp is designed. It's not that you're not stamping it correctly. That's how the stamp is. So I at first thought that and I was like, oh my gosh, what's wrong? That's how the stamp is. And I'm cleaning my stamps off right away as usual. Next, I'm going to go in with our grading. And we're using the Home is Where You Park It grading. I think this one is just super cute. And if you were going to give this to somebody as like a thinking of you during like Thanksgiving or something, I think that's a really cute one because home is where you park it. Wherever you are is where your home is going to be. And then our last little 2, we're going to be using the little pie and put this in the window seal because I think it is just adorable. Just like that. And then the Give Thanks little banner, we're going to put that right above the door. Just like that. And with all of the cards, I did at least one little addition to the camper. Maybe 2. Yeah, I did at least 2 to each of them. So there is that. The next thing that I want to do is start to create our background. And I'm going to start with the sky. Now, I did all of the cards the same. Usually I stamped the camper image, like I said, and all of the little extras. And then I went in and I started on the background around the camper. And then I went inside and did the innards of the camper. That's just what seemed to work best for me. But you do whatever works best for you. So for the background, for like the sunset, sunrise, whatever you want to call it, we're going to be using our Real Red, Pumpkin Pie, and Daffodil Delight. We're going to be going in that order. The thing with this technique is that you do want to use your aqua painter, or you could use just a paintbrush with water on it. I find that the aqua painters work really well for this because you need the tip of your brush to be really wet, and you need to be able to add water right away. I would go ahead and practice this first if you've never used our pens to blend out color. They're really great because they soak into the paper and they stay in the paper permanently, but if you're trying to watercolor with them or do this okay, my camera keeps having issues with stopping recording, so I'm going to start again. So when you write with the markers on watercolor paper, they're really great because they soak into the paper and they stay permanent, and it's really good. But you can blend them, but you have to be kind of quick about it because they do soak into the paper and stay permanent. So what I suggest doing, and like I said, this is why I kind of recommend using the aqua painters, because you can get a lot of water in the tip in just a squeeze instead of having to go back to your water and all of that stuff. So I recommend basically having your water brush ready. And you're just going to do basically just a line and then go in right away and get the ink wet. And then you can just start bringing it down and blending it. And it's as simple as that. It's not a hard technique. You just have to be a little bit quicker about it because the edges do, like I said, they soak into the paper. So if you wait too long, you may not be able to blend out the color and those edges. But that's basically what we're going to be doing with our little piece here. So I'm going to go ahead and do the red just like I just showed you guys. And I'm going to start it about right here. And again, get lots of water in there. And then just start blending it up. And we're going for a nice like sunrise look, so just keep that in mind. And also, if it bleeds into your camper a little bit, don't worry about it. I mean, it's going to happen. It's watercolor. It's not going to be 100% perfect. And then I'm just going to go over to the other side and kind of match as best as I can where it's going to start. And bring it up to about where it stops on the other side. Just like that. And now I'm going to take my orange next, and I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to draw my line right where the red stopped, blend it up a little bit, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the yellow. So to make this video not be 5 years long, I'm going to go ahead and speed that part up for you guys. Okay, so you see that I went ahead and just blended the orange and the yellow up. There were a few spots where I didn't feel like I had enough color, so I just went ahead and went back in with my marker and colored a little bit and then dragged that ink out. So you can do that. My sample, my colors are definitely a little bit darker, so if you wanted to do them darker, you just need to add a little bit more ink and not dilute it with water as much, but it's really up to you how you want to do it. I wanted to go with a little bit of a softer look for this one, just to see how it turns out. So that's what I did for this one. And then now I'm going to move on to the grass, and I'm basically going to do similar to what we did before. I'm just not going to be blending it out. I'm actually just going to take an acrylic block and scribble my old olive marker on this acrylic block, and I'm going to use this as my ink pad. Now this is no different than when you put your ink on the inside of your ink pad and use that. This works just the same. I found that it works really well for me, so I've been using it. Again, it's just whatever supplies you already have, what you have handy. If I happen to have my old olive ink pad sitting out here, I probably wouldn't go grab my marker to do this. I would just use my ink pad because it's not really going to make a difference. But since I had my markers, and I figure if you have the Real Red Pumpkin Pie and Daffodil Delight markers, you're probably going to have the old olive marker. So I went ahead and just showed you guys kind of what to do with that. And if there's any spots that you kind of missed with your sunrise or sunset background, you can go ahead and just fill that in with grass, and nobody's going to know the difference. Nobody's going to look and say, your sunrise should be there, not grass. I promise, nobody's going to know better. And we're going to go right over the sentiment that we stamped. This I'm just being super sloppy with. I'm not really doing a great job at getting clean lines because it is the grass and it's not all going to be even. So I kind of like that look. And I'll even go back in with some more concentrated color and kind of put some streaks in there. Make sure you do your darken it up all the way up to where the camper is. Don't forget that area. And I think that looks good to me. So I'm going to leave that like that to move this out of the way. And we'll move on to doing our camper. So the biggest part of the camper is the top part, which we're going to do in Dapper Denim. Whoops. And as I was saying before, I recommend using the Dapper Denim ink pad instead of the marker. I do have the marker handy. And I'll just show you guys why briefly. So, let me move that out of the way. If I take my marker and I scribble my marker down, I'm just going to bring in my scratch piece of paper one more time. And I'm going to come in here, whoops, make sure I get all of that yellow out of there, or that green out of there. Now if I come in here and use my marker, this is kind of the color that I get. But because I can use more concentrated color in the top of my ink pad, I can get a much darker blue, which is what I'm going for with this particular card. I get a much darker blue. Now they're practically the same color when you stamp them, write them out. Here, do I have that readily available? Here we go. I don't know how well you guys are going to be able to see this. This is my swatch book. And this is the Dapper Denim stamped, and this is the marker. So they're essentially identical when you just kind of scribble them out, the marker out. But when you dilute it with the water and really start to play around with it, you do get a lighter color. So that's what I was kind of trying to say earlier about using the ink pad versus the marker, because you just get a different color. If you want. Okay, so I really think I'm just doomed to film this video today. But as I was saying, I'm going to be using the ink pad just because I'm going to get a more concentrated color. And all I'm going to do is fill in this top section of the camper. Now you might have to go over it a couple of times, depending on your, how much water you're using and that stuff. Sometimes I have a hard time getting the right water to ink ratio to get the right color. That looks like more like what I want. So I'm just going to very messily color the top portion. And again, I'm not doing it if I get out of the lines or if I accidentally go into the window. I'm not worrying about it too much. I just want to make sure that it's nice and painted or colored in. So I'm going to finish this up really fast and then I will be right back. Okay, so there is that. That part's done. Super quick and easy. It's a little splotchy, but I like that look. If you didn't like that, you just need to go over it a couple more times to even out the water and the color distribution and all of that good stuff. Now what I'm going to do is take my crumb cake ink, and we're watercoloring again. So if you have the crumb cake pen, use the crumb cake pen. Do whatever you have. And I'm going to color in the Give Thanks banner up at the top, as well as the top of the pie, where it would be all nice and crusty. Just like that. And that's all we're using our crumb cake for. So if you have something different that you want to do with it, go ahead. It's not going to be a big deal. Now I'm going to take our smoky slate ink. And for this, I'm going to color in the bottom of our pie dish, as well as the door. And I'm going to color the whole door. I'm going to leave this little circle area open, but I'm going to color all the way down to these little steps and up at the top here, the little molding, or whatever you want to call it. Okie dokie. And now the final step is we're going to close this so I don't put my fingers in it. I'm going to take my basic gray marker and I'm going to color in all of the window ledges, if that's what you want to call it. I'm not sure what the technical name for those are. I'm also going to color in this little circle here and this little rectangle over here, as well as this little strip, whoops, on the bottom. And our little, I don't know what this is even called, the little hitch thing. And then the outside of our tire. Just like that, super cute, right? I think this is an adorable, oh, I forgot one other place, the little door handle. I was like, I knew there was one other thing. Okay, that's it. Now we're good. So now I'm going to take this and my piece of old olive cardstock, and I'm going to fold this in half, crease it with my bone folder, and then I need to find my dimensionals that I just had. My desk is an absolute mess right now because I've been working on all of these cards, and I just had my dimensionals. I literally just had them in my hand. Well, I guess I'll just grab a new one. And I'm sure as soon as I start using these, I'll find the other ones, but that's okay. So I'm going to flip my little piece over. For the most part, it's dry because we've done the majority of our watercoloring first, so it should be pretty dry now, depending on the kind of watercolor paper you're using, obviously. I'm still using my Canson, I think it's 140 pound. Let me see. It is this. It's the, yes, the Canson XL 140 pound watercolor paper. That is what I'm using. And you can see, I don't know if you guys can or not, but it is a little bit warped. So I'm using dimensionals to pop this on, to pop this up. Some of the cards I just put it flat down onto my card base, and for those I used fast fuse just because I don't want this to warp on my card or come up at all. And that's why I'm using so many dimensionals with this. So I'm just going to put this onto my card base, and there it is. So I really hope you guys enjoy this video. Again, to see the details on how I made the other 3 cards, head over to my blog. You can click on the first link down below. It's the coordinating blog post for this card, and then from there it'll link you to the other 3 cards. So you can see the products that I use, how exactly I made them, and all of that good stuff. So I really hope you guys enjoy. If you have any other suggestions from the holiday catalog, from the annual catalog, please shoot me an email, leave me a comment, let me know what you guys want to see next, and I will see you next time. Bye!